tried to kill his teacher before turning the gun on himself. We're going to get over into that. We got a few videos to look at, and then we'll get over into the AI breakdown, of course, just to see what else we can find out. But let's jump into it.
And tonight we're following through on our push to learn more about the student who investigators say shot a teacher, then killed himself. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dylan Collier. That shooting happened before class began yesterday at Hill Country Preparatory High School near Bulverde. KSAT Investigates Danielle Ibarra has been covering violence against educators for years. She spoke with the Comal County Sheriff this afternoon about what we've learned so far.
Sheriff Mark Reynolds told us that teacher is alive and conscious. We did ask him to identify who that teacher is, but he says that information is going to have to come from Comal ISD. We have reached out to the district, but haven't heard back yet on that. The sheriff told us that there was no school resource officer at the Hill Country Preparatory High School when the shooting happened. He says that would have been a Bulverde police officer, and we're making calls and requests to find out why they weren't there. The sheriff says multiple people were in the classroom when this shooting happened, including some students and 2 teachers, including that teacher who was shot. He says investigators learned the student, who has not been identified, brought the gun to school from home. It was a .357 revolver. Investigators are still trying to figure out why that 15-year-old did this. They did note that the student had academic challenges, including failing classes. Yesterday, our crew saw Comal County deputies outside of a Spring Branch home, and the sheriff confirmed that is connected to this investigation, but he didn't give many details. We also asked about...
Now, I would like to say a 15-year-old shooting up a school, basically, or shooting at his teacher because he's failing classes, I would like to believe there's something deeper into that. Hopefully there's just not students out there who are so pressed or so upset about failing classes, which yes, failing classes is something that the parents need to talk to them about, but to go and shoot up a school, that seems extra. But I might be wrong. Let's keep going into
what they've been able to learn from the evidence they've been able to collect so far.
As we put this picture together, we'll be able to share more information. In other words, was it something long planned out? Was it spur of the moment? Just so that we can respond appropriately to the questions.
Comal ISD superintendent released a video asking everyone to wear blue in support of that teacher. He said the district would be open about addressing safety concerns, but he didn't explain how the district would do that. I emailed the district and school board members to ask about safety plans moving forward, but I haven't heard back. Comal ISD is offering resources to students who might have trouble processing this. You can find those by scanning the QR code on your screen. In Comal County, I'm Danielle Ibarra.
Now, we got to remember that this student did end up ultimately taking his own life. So just to think that it's just about him failing classes, no, he has something deeper going on with him. He was most likely suffering from depression, but we'll have to wait for more information to come out about that. They got to look through all his phones, his computer, his internet research. But let's keep going into this. We got a few more videos to look at.
More than 24 hours after the shooting, the scene is much somber, marked by this memorial left at one of the school's entrances.
There was an initial interview conducted yesterday, so you have 2 family members that were interviewed pretty thoroughly, I think, by the Rangers. And from what I heard this morning during the debrief, they have been very cooperative.
Comal County Sheriff Mark Reynolds says the 2 family members interviewed were the boy's grandfather and father. Investigators confirmed the 15-year-old student used a .357 caliber revolver, which was brought to campus from his home, but did not disclose who the gun belongs to. But charges could be a possibility.
We'll most certainly, keep the district attorney's office involved.
They have to determine if the gun was stored properly. That's the main thing. If this child was given access too easily to the gun, that's what they're going to charge somebody with.
The teacher who was shot is still in the hospital. Their identity has not been released. The motive is still under investigation. However, it is believed the student may have been experiencing academic challenges, including failing several classes.
We've gotten that much from some of the faculty at the school, that there may have been some academic challenges going on, and that may be, but that's going to be part of the investigation.
Detectives have executed a search warrant at the student's home where several electronic devices were seized. These items are currently undergoing forensic examination.
I'm sure yesterday was also traumatic for the shooter's parents. You know, so it's a lot to absorb and take in, but we want to make sure what we're collecting evidentiary-wise is for our case, but you know, we owe it to the victim to make sure that we're thorough as well.
The Comal County Sheriff's Office says out of respect for the teacher and her family, they will not be releasing her identity at this time.
Okay, so it is a female teacher. See, this is the first time we're hearing that's a female teacher. Let's go over to one more video just to finish it up.
There are new details regarding the shooting that happened Monday morning at a high school near San Antonio that injured a teacher and resulted in the death of a 15-year-old student. Taylor Wartnaby has more.
New details and questions emerging on Monday's shooting at the Hill Country College Preparatory High School. Comal County Sheriff Mark Reynolds sharing new details about the investigation. He revealed a school resource officer was not on campus at the time of the shooting.
And on that particular campus, it was the Bulverde Police Department that has an agreement to provide the school resource officers to that particular school, but they were not on campus at the time.
News 4 reached out to the Bulverde Police for comment and were waiting for a reply.
Now, first things first, would that have even done anything? It's not like they have metal detectors. It's not like they can sense the gun. I'm assuming he just came into the classroom, pulled the gun, tried to shoot at the teacher, and ultimately tried to turn the gun on himself. Maybe the officer would have got there in time to stop him from killing himself, which would have been great, but he could have already killed the teacher. So I guess stopping him from killing himself ultimately would have been amazing. Hopefully they could get some help for him, or simply he had to go to jail because he tried to kill somebody. But let's keep going.
How the student got to school with the gun revealed to be a .357 revolver the 15-year-old boy obtained from his home. Now this remains under investigation. The sheriff said the boy arrived at school early, with the shooting taking place on the second floor in a classroom, with most of the student body in the cafeteria.
The particular gun is a .357 revolver. Of course, that's been collected. We know that it came from the residence where he lives. Belongs to a family member that lives on location there at the residence.
So you said the gun belonged to someone who lived at the home. Could that person face any consequences due to the shooter gaining access to that gun?
Anytime there's an unsecured gun that is left where a child or another individual could get it, could face charges.
Investigators are working to determine a motive, including whether this was targeted and if it was planned for a while.
He may have had some academic challenges at this particular school, but we did retrieve some electronic evidence.
Meanwhile, the teacher who was shot remains hospitalized. No official confirmation has been released by authorities, but the sheriff did provide an update on her condition and recovery.
Her ability to communicate is right. Presently, it's like squeezing of hands. So she knows people are with her. She knows people are thinking of her.
Oh, they really shot her. This is a awful, terrible situation. Let's go over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about that. But they said they don't know if this was targeted or anything like that, but it seems pretty targeted to me, just for the fact that he showed up there early. He knew when to go to see the victim. I'm assuming the teacher was one of his teachers. So he went there when she was alone to single her out. And then he ultimately pulled the gun on himself. He had a person he wanted to aim at. That seems pretty obvious to me, but of course, they got to go through their investigation. Let's keep going into this. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see if we find any more details or any information we didn't understand before. So it happened at the Hills County College Preparatory High School. It was a 15-year-old student. The incident happened around before 8:30 a.m. with a female teacher was shot and remains hospitalized. He used a .357 revolver. The small campus has around 250 students and was placed on lockdown, and the students were later evacuated to a nearby middle school to reunite with their families. Classes were canceled the remainder of the week. Early investigations by the sheriff's office suggested the student was struggling academically. They seized electronic devices, and the Texas Rangers are assisting local law enforcement. So that's all the information we have right now on the whole situation. There has to be, well, maybe it's just me, but I want there to be something deeper. I don't want it to just be that the kid was struggling with school and he decided to kill himself. No, come on now. Kill his teacher and then kill himself. I would hope that there would be signs to this. Signs that the parents could have noticed. Not that this just sprung out of nowhere. At the end of the day, this just shows that we need to talk to our kids better, talk to our kids more, and be present in our kids' lives. That is what responsible parents should do. This is a crazy situation. We will keep up with it to see if any charges come from the family members, or most likely the father and the grandfather who was interviewed. But we'll have to wait and see. And then it sounds like she is doing as best as she can, the teacher who was shot. Hopefully she pulls through and makes a full recovery.